What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pages from Rock Bottom. I'm Matt. This is my beautiful wife, Kim. Tonight we are joined by Cheryl Willis.
Hi.
Some people say you hit rock bottom before they change, right?
Yeah.
That's what they say. Trigger warning, right, guys? You already know what it is. Tonight's episode is going to contain profanity, obviously.
Earmuffs.
Yeah, he said earmuffs. We're going to be talking about substance use disorder, IV drug use, overdose, incarceration, family endangerment, homelessness, estrangement, sorry, homelessness, trauma, and recovery. Viewer discretion is advised. Why my husband corrects me as we go. Oh my God. All right, Cheryl, tell us who you are and where you're from.
I'm Cheryl. I'm 52. I'm originally from Jackson, but I live in Portsmouth now.
Oh, lives in Portsmouth. So
Yeah.
I gotta ask you before we even get started. You said this, and I want to know what this meaning when you said this, what this means to you.
Okay.
You said rock bottom wasn't just low; it had a basement, right, and a dirt floor. Explain that to us just a little bit.
Like they always say, like some people have to, you have to hit your rock bottom before you're done, or like my life had got to the point where it was so bad that I felt like, it wasn't just rock bottom, that I crashed through the basement and then hit the dirt floor. That's how bad that my life and my addiction had gotten and had taken me, because it just wasn't rock bottom. It had got way worse than that. I went lower than rock bottom. So I always say, people say, well, you got to hit rock bottom. And I'm always like, well, my rock bottom had a basement and a dirt floor. It wasn't just a bottom. So.
Yeah. I had many dirt floors then.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Give me that motherfucking shovel.
You ain't digging your way out of that one. I could never dig my way out of any of it.
Yeah, but I could dig my way into it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Always into it, but never out of it.
Mm.
So tell us about who Cheryl was before addiction entered the picture.
Before addiction, I had a really good childhood. Neither one of my parents were addicts. They both worked. I'm an only child. My grandma lived next door. I had a couple cousins that were only children, and we played together and stuff. So I never really knew about addiction. My dad worked during the day for the county. My mom worked second shift for Goodyear, and I just had a normal childhood. I never really heard about addiction. It wasn't around my family. Like no one, you never heard about it in my family. And so I never really knew what it was. I just had a normal childhood. It was good. I went to my aunt's on the weekend, and rode four-wheelers, and she had a farm, and played with my cousins. And I never knew what addiction was. It just wasn't part of our lives. Neither one of my parents are still addicts. They were wonderful people. They still don't, they don't understand. So I have to, try to tell them sometimes, because my mom has asked me several times, what did I do wrong, or where did I go wrong? And I have to tell her, it wasn't anything that you did. It's a fucked up defect in my head. You know what I mean? It wasn't anything that they did wrong. That I had wonderful parents. And I always tell everybody that asks me that God must have knew I was going to be bad, because he gave me two angels for parents. He must have knew that I was going to be a handful. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
That might be a slogan for a shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you graduate high school? Did you when did things start for you?
I went I drank a little bit in high school. I tried cigarettes one time. I've never smoked another one since in my life. I don't vape or smoke. They were gross to me. I hit a joint one time. I think someone laced it with opiate. I never touched weed again. I never really was a partier like in high school a whole lot. I had more credits than I needed to graduate. I got out, was able to work my senior year half a day. And then when it come to time to graduate, they realized that I missed a gym credit somewhere. And a gym credit kept me from graduating high school. I mean, not, not government, not English, like I didn't know how to run a lap. That kept me from graduating high school. And so I went and got a G.
That's terrible.
Yeah, my mom was not very happy about it. But
I would imagine not. I wouldn't have been either.
I went and got a G. Yeah. So, and they didn't tell her till, like the very last, right? They bought my cap and gown and went through all that, and then going through everything, like, she's like, how can that be? Like, you let her out half a day. She has 2 study halls that I've had all year, and they missed that gym credit somewhere. So
yeah,
I should have fell in school.
That's wild. Not you.
But they didn't let me graduate. Yes. They wanted me to pay for summer school. And my mom said, the only way I'll do that is if you give her a blank diploma and let her walk still across with her class. And they wouldn't do it. And I just told my mom, like, fuck it, I'm not going to summer school and for gym. And I did it. And I went and got a GED. So
that's fucking wild.
Yeah, I wouldn't have went to summer school for gym either.
Shit, I'll get fucking dodgeball.
Dodgeball. So what did your life look like when you were married and raising your children? Like, how old was you when that started?
I found out I started dating Cody and Corey's dad right out of kind of like high school. We were just kind of hanging out. He was 10 years older than me. I thought he was super cool. He was a professional baseball player. I was young. And about 2 weeks into me and him dating, I found out I was pregnant. So he was best friends with one of my cousins. And I told my cousin, I was like, this time it's been fun, whatever, but it's been cool. But I just found out I was pregnant. I'm sure he doesn't want involved in that mess. And, but we had known each other for quite a while. We just, so he came to me and he's like, listen, no one knows this kid's not mine. Let's just get a place together. I like you, evidently you like me, and we'll move in and I'll raise it. And that's what we did. And so for a while it was good. But like I said, I was only 18 years old. I wasn't old enough to get into bars or drink or nothing like that. And he was. So within 4 years, I had 3 kids under the age of, I'm 21 and I have 3 kids at this point.
Yeah.
And so when Corey was born, one of his lungs wasn't developed and he was life flight children's, and he was in the NICU for 10 days. I still am not into drugs. I don't party. I don't do any of that. And the day we came home with Corey, I told his dad, I was like, can you go get milk? Can you go get a few things? And he was gone for 3 days. And so our marriage wasn't very good, but like I said, I was young. I thought 18 years old, I can get out of the house. At that time, it sounded glorious to me, until it wasn't. He tells a whole different side of the story than I do, but it wasn't a good marriage. It was a lot of violence, a lot of some woman coming to my door telling me what my back deck looked like, or back thing, that she didn't know he had a wife and 3 small kids and had slept with him. And so He stole my car and wrecked it. And whenever he went to jail for that, I left. My dad come and got me and got all my things, and I got out of it. So
Good.
but
Yeah. And abusive relationships are not, for some reason, I always felt the need to go back because I was crazy. Well, I wasn't crazy, but did you guys stay separated?
I left, and he came. He blocked me in a. His ex-wife worked for a lawyer, so they thought they knew the law so well. And the town of Jackson just thought he was a hero because he was a professional baseball player that came from there. You couldn't tell them anything about him. He was a god to them. And so he come and took the kids one day, like for the weekend, and kept them for 6 months. And I guess that I would come back, but it about drove me crazy. And I started drinking a little bit at that time, but just because to kind of take the pain away, because I missed him so bad. And my aunt, she always said, like the one I said I went to her farm, she always said that my oldest son, Cody, was the closest thing she would ever have to a grandson. She would take him and keep him and stuff all the time. So she went down to get him, and he let her bring him home. And then I had him the rest of the time. It took us 2 years to get divorced because, of course, he could afford a high-priced lawyer. I couldn't, and the only way I got out of it was to give him joint custody, which he never had. But, so.
Did you ever think that or imagine that addiction would become part of your story?
No, I was 21 years old and had all 4 wisdom teeth cut out, and they gave me a bottle of Vicodin, and I flushed them down the toilet and went to work that night. So I wouldn't even take an aspirin. So I never imagined addiction would be part of my story.
So how did it start?
How did it start?
Yeah.
Well, after we got divorced, I dated around a little bit, you know what I mean? And I met my husband eventually. I dated a few guys that lasted a little bit, but I ended up meeting my husband, who we ended up staying married for 20 years before he passed it. Well, we were together for 20 years before he passed away. But he introduced me to like doing a few pain pills here and there, snorting them and it just, here and one there, and doing a little coke and things like that. And then the pill mills came around, and I hurt my knee. And so I started going and getting perk 30s, and they started me out on like 84 perk 30s a month. And so I never knew, but someone showed me how to snort, like one of them, and I never looked back. And at one point it got to where I was doing 15 perk 30s myself a day.
Woo! Yes. Been there, girl. Been there.
So
my dog. You was worried about your dog. My dog's in the background barking.
They know when we go live.
Yeah, they probably do.
Yeah.
So, you hurt your knee, right? And that changed everything for you. Yeah. So tell us what progressed after that.
After that, we started selling drugs. So I was making 3 trips to Columbus a day. A guy was giving me, at that time, it's when Opanas and Oxycontin were out, and they were the real ones. And he was giving me a baggie a day of what he wanted $1,000 for, but I could make like 5,000 off of it. So I had all the free drugs plus what I was getting myself. And it just progressed to that. I thought heroin junkies were so gross. I would never do the needle. I wouldn't sell to people who did that. It was just disgusting to me. Like I was so much better just because I'm just doing pain pills. You know what I mean? I'm not doing all of that. And it's okay because I prescribe them too. You know, it's okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's okay because I prescribe them. And I never really realized that I was addicted until the first time I got dope sick. And I didn't really know what dope sick was. And I was sick. And someone told me, like, you're dope sick. I was actually my husband's cousin. He told me, he's like, you're dope sick. And he got me well, as they say. And so it got to where I was making 3 trips to Columbus a day. That's how many of those pills I was selling and doing. And so I was going up to a not very good, part of Columbus, getting them off some old guy that we knew up there. And I would try to leave early in the morning, so it looked like I was going to work, and I wouldn't try to come home late, or whatever. Yeah. And so I just, would just sit around all day, like doing pills, just like literally sit around all day doing pills. And my husband, he poured concrete. So he might be going for 15, 16, 17 hours. So I would just be at the house doing pills. He had no idea at that point. He would take a couple with him in the morning, but like he had no idea at that point that I was doing as many as I was doing. So
how quickly did your addiction escalate after being shown how to snort them?
Very quickly, because I got even if I was dope sick and we would drive to Columbus to get dope, he would go ahead and eat one if he was sick. I wouldn't. If I didn't have something to snort it with or whatever, I would stay sick all the way home. And he would be like, that's crazy, Cheryl. You know what I mean? Like, just eat it. And I would be like, I'm not eating it. I'm not going to get the same effect by eating it as if I'm snorting it up my nose. So, and that's what I did. So, and it progressed very quickly. Like the minute that they showed me how to snort it, I fell in love. Like I fell in love. Like it was the opiates are the only drug that I have never been able to lay down. Like I've done coke and partied over the weekend, and I might not have touched it again for a year, or smoked crack, and it just, speed was never my thing. I've been offered meth and things like that, and speed wasn't my thing. Like, Adderall, things like that. I had friends that's all they did was speed, but that wasn't ever my thing. Opiates were my complete downfall. That cost me what I said that, cost me to crash through that basement through the, dirt floor. So,
yeah. So how long was it that you were doing pain pills, snorting pain pills until you did heroin?
I started snorting pain pills. I left for the Army when I was 30, got home, caught a felony when I got home for receiving stolen property, and got put on probation. And because I'd never been in trouble, like at that point for, anything other than a misdemeanor. And I got a felony for giving someone a ride through the bank. They had been working for a guy over the weekend, in which I knew that they'd been working for him. And because I gave them a ride through the bank and the check passed through my hand back to theirs, they got a misdemeanor and I caught a felony. And when I caught that felony, I got a pretty much fuck it attitude, and just got a really bad attitude. And then that's when my addiction really got a lot worse. And then I was ending up being PV'd all the time, thrown in jail all the time. I did 256 days 1 year just on PVs. They sent me to STAR, And the day that they sent me out of Star, I come home, they flipped me an Oxy. Like I knew I wasn't done. And
Yeah.
I didn't start doing heroin until about 10 years later. And I got put on house arrest. Me and my neighbor had got into it, and she put a restraining order against me. And I couldn't be within 1,000 feet of her. And because our houses were so close, I got put on house arrest at my dad's house. Of course, my dad and them still don't know anything about drugs, or what they eventually found out, because they end up finding out we were all addicts, but they still didn't do drugs. But I laid up there coming off of those 15, almost 20, 30s a day at my dad's. And I was really, really sick. I mean, I couldn't hardly move my head off the pillow. And my cousin sold dope. You could throw a rock and hit her house from my dad's house. And a friend come in and he's like, listen, I'm going to go get dope. Like, I can get you well. And I said, I'm not going to shoot dope. I'm not doing it. So the second day I laid there, like, I was praying for God, like, just take me. Like, I was sick. I couldn't even get out of bed. So he'd come back and he's like, listen, like, I'll get it and I'll hit you. And I gave in and said, okay. And the minute he did, I never looked back. Instant fell in love. And I not only fell in love with the heroin, but I fell in love with the needle. I wouldn't do it unless I could shoot it. So,
yeah.
And then at that
Been
point,
there.
I didn't know how to hit myself. And I learned real quick. So,
yeah.
But
yeah. Because you want it that bad. Like, and you're not going to stop. You'll jab yourself 50,000 times until you get it.
Yeah.
Or you'll miss and it'll hurt like hell. And you'll still do it again.
And I did. I had an abscess so bad on my arm when they took me to jail that they had to cut it out. And I still have a pretty bad scar where they had to cut it out. And I still just kept shooting and didn't even care. So what changed in you mentally after the first use of heroin? What changed in me mentally is it just changed me into someone that didn't give a fuck about anybody. The only thing I gave a shit about was getting that drug. And that's where the worst part of me came out, because my mom and dad, like I said, they have been godsends to me. They've always gave me what I want. They've always supported me. They always did whatever, and I was lying to them, would look my dad straight in the face and tell him I needed money for this or that, and he knowing that he's going to give it to me. He did. I robbed them. Like, it's it's horrible to admit like what kind of person it turns you into, but it just turned me into someone that eventually my dad told me if I was standing on Jesus's shoulders that he wouldn't believe me. That's how bad it got. I got down to about 90 pounds. I was taking my car to trap houses in Columbus. It got shot up. I mean, I didn't even care, So I walked down, I was dope sick and walked down Livingston Avenue at midnight on like a Friday night
you're brave.
looking for dope.
Yeah.
That's how dope sick I was.
Yeah.
So
why do you think heroin grabbed a hold of you so fast?
For one, I was already addicted to opiates so bad, but it was cheaper. The high was better because I had grown such a tolerance to the 30s and the pain pills that like I didn't get high anymore, but the first time I did that heroin, I got that feeling like, that I had been looking for, like, again. And it's no feeling I explain to anybody. It's the devil in tar form. It just literally grabbed not only a hold of me, but it grabbed a hold of my soul. Like, I didn't even have one at that point. Like, you know what I mean? You couldn't believe me for anything. Like, I have shot, like, some of like my worst things. Like, I shot dope, I shot dope with Corey. My son, my oldest son come and wanted me to get him dope. And I told him I wouldn't. He's like, if you don't go get it for me, I'm going to get it anyway. So I went out and got it for him. He OD'd. I don't even know what road we were on. I just had him rolled over trying to keep the stuff out of his mouth so I could call my cousin and my other son, Corey, to come and get him. They had a lifeline. He was on life support for 3 days in Columbus, and I was so sick in the parking lot that I still had to shoot dope to go up to see him. It wasn't even enough to stop to watch him. He walked around the car and looked at me and went down, and it still wasn't enough for me to quit. So,
how hard is it to confront that part of your story today?
how far what?
How hard is it to talk about that today?
To see my son on life support, that's very hard because, like, there are some things like I had talked about, like when I got sober, like I had told a story to my son, like when I first got clean. It had laid on my mind for years, and I never whipped my kids. I never put my hands on them, like none of that stuff. And I was high, not on, at this time I was still on pain pills. And I don't know what happened. He was just being a teenager and just being so mouthy. And I don't know why, but I remember whooping him with a belt. And I just remember him, the look in his eyes. And he just looked at me and said, please stop. And I'll never forget the look in his eye. And so when I got sober, I called him and I was crying so hard I could hardly even speak to him when I heard his voice. And he's like, what's wrong? And I told him, and he's like, I think you're, that didn't happen, Mom. I don't remember that. But I don't know if he just I know he remembers. I think that he just, doesn't want me to feel bad about it, because a couple months ago, we were talking about it again, and he said, listen, it didn't change anything. I'm still who I am today. So I knew then that he remembered and that he just, knew. But that's one of the things in addiction that haunts me, is the look that was on his face. And I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. It still haunts me, and it's been 20 years, maybe over. So.
Yes. Have you ever forgiven yourself for it? Like,
I probably never will. No, I haven't. I don't think I ever will.
Yeah. I still find it hard to forgive myself for some things,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I definitely get that.
Yeah.
So did that moment how did that moment impact your addiction? Were you too far, like, deep at that point, or
at that
did
point,
it really affect you?
It affected me more, I think, because the look in his eyes haunted me so bad that I just went into a downward spiral, that I just tried to cover up the numbness that I had. I just tried to numb every feeling that I had. Because before that happened, me and my husband that were together were split up for a year. And I had started seeing a guy. Cody was 7 at this time, so it'd been a couple years before. And this guy, I had found out, had stalked my relationship with my husband for 2 years and knew that we were having trouble. Ended up breaking us up. I ended up moving out there to stay, to have a place to stay. He ended up breaking my jaw. Would sit up at night, watching me sleep. When I finally got away, Cody, he said the other day, he's like, he just remembers the pain in my eyes. He was 7. He said, I just remember the pain, the look in your eyes, and how helpless that he felt. that he couldn't do anything at that point. But I finally got the sheriff to go out there with me to get my things because he had called and said he was going to kill me. And he had a shotgun taped to the door that whenever it opened, it would have blew me in half. And the only thing that saved me was the sheriff went with me and knocked on the door and said, Jackson County Sheriff's Office. And he said, don't, I have a gun. I have a gun. I have a gun. Don't open the door. And they took him to jail at that point. And 6 months later, he got out. And because he had beaten me so bad, too, that my mom took pictures because she couldn't recognize me. And he come to me and wanted me to sign a release to get his guns back. And I said, I won't put the gun in your hand that kills me. I won't do it.
Ooh. Yeah.
So,
ooh. I don't blame you. I wouldn't have either.
Yeah. So that fueled my addiction pretty well too. So
How did addiction lead to the aggravated robbery charge?
how did it? Well, I was doing a lot of dope, and I was dope sick, and I robbed somebody for $80, and they called the mayor instead of the police. They called the mayor. They said they were so scared for their life, said I had a gun, and the cops had to be on the lookout for me. And my mom called and told me, and I had just went to Chillicothe and bought dope. So I stopped at the cemetery and did the dope that I had and threw all my needles away because I thought I'm not going to get caught with all these needles, and and they're definitely not taking the rest of my dope.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And so they pulled in behind me, and they took me to jail. Well, I sat there in jail for 3 months, and then my dad's neighbor said I robbed them too after they said it was her niece and this and that. And so I sat in jail fighting it for a year. Well, first thing they did, they handed me a 4-count indictment for 4 F1s, 2 aggravated robberies and 2 aggravated burglaries. And my public pretender said that it couldn't be both, it had to be robbery or burglary. It had to be one or the other. Well, they come and offered me 13 years, and I said, F you, I'm not taking 13 years. I'll take it to the box. I'll admit to one I did. I'm not going to admit to one I didn't do. That she had done, said a carload of people had come and robbed her and did all this, said it was her niece. She lives 100 feet away from my dad. Why would I take a carload of people? And eventually she wouldn't come to court against me. So 3 days before I took it to trial, my lawyer finally came and seen me. I sat in that county jail for a year. And he said they'll take 3 of them off the table, offer you 1, offer you 6 years. And the judge said that if you don't take it, he'll put all 4 of them back on the table. And if you get found guilty, then they'll give you 11 years, 11 years, 11 years, 11 years, and run them consecutive.
Jesus.
So I took the 6 years. So.
Could you at least judicial out in 3? Or did you have to do the 6 years?
Over 5, you have to do at least 5. That's the state of Ohio's rule. That's why they give a lot of people like 4-11. So I did 5 of it. Went through there. I got 2 associate's degrees while I was in there. Come up with 11 certifications. Never got 1 ticket in 5 years. And at my 5-year mark, I filed for a judicial. And he denied me in 3 days and said I was still a menace to society and wouldn't give me my judicial. So I did every day of it, and then did 6 months and a half in the house. So.
Woo.
So
yeah.
he denied your judicial, what was your mental state? Like, did you feel defeated?
I
You know what I
felt
mean? Like,
I did. I felt like, what's it all for? Like I've come in here, like there's many times I wanted to just to well on girls, you know what I mean? But I thought, if I can't show the judge I can behave in prison, how's he ever going to let me back out on the street? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But my
Yeah.
dad said something to me when I first got there that kind of stuck with me, because at that point, I had a really shitty attitude. And I was bitching to my dad on the phone one day, and my dad said, listen, 6 years is a long time. He said, so you can either sit in there and count the days or make the days count. He said, that's your choice. And so I thought, well, 6 years is an awful lot of time to count. So I got into school and got into everything I could. And like I said, I never got one ticket in 6 years, and that's not an easy feat to do. But I did it. I came through it. And when I got out, I had him switch my parole and stuff. I didn't go back to Jackson County. And I was off paper in a year. So,
Heck yeah.
yeah.
So what was it like knowing that your children were growing up while you were incarcerated?
My children were already grown, but my grandson, he was only 3 when I got locked up, and me and him were very close. And so he'll be 13, and he calls me Cheryl, because my mom would be like, Grandma Cheryl's on the phone. And so he'll, still call me Cheryl. But my kids were already grown, but it was very hard because I was missing a lot of their lives too, because Corey was out there homeless, spiraling out of control, got into that endocarditis, and there was nothing I could do. I felt so helpless being where I was, and knowing that he was laying in the hospital and I was doing a 6-year sentence over $80 for dope, and I just felt, like I would call home and they would be like, I've lost my best friend. I feel like I've lost my best friend, because me and my kids have always, like I said, we grew up together. I was 18 years old when I had my daughter.
Yeah.
So we've always been that family that we don't keep secrets. We don't lie to each other. And I really miss that. And then I didn't get to see my family for 3 years because of COVID hitting. And so when I was in there, within 10 days, I lost 3 people. I lost my grandson's father passed away, then my aunt passed away, and then my husband passed away. And I had to attend his funeral like this. So,
shit.
Yeah, that's how I said goodbye. My son Cody held a phone up, and that's how I attended his funeral. So,
what was that like for you? Like, what was that like for you mentally?
Mentally it was hard, but I think doing it like this, it wasn't real to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
It wasn't. It didn't really hit me until last year when me and Corey, I had Corey take me to his grave, and that's when it was real. It was very hard, and then I got out of prison, and I was doing really good for about 7 months, and I was working, doing really good. I swore I'd never touch fentanyl. I swore I would never touch it. Promised God if he would get me out of that life, that I would never touch dope again. Swore I wouldn't, and believed it. And I moved to Chillicothe, and they say it's a cliche, but it's not. I let old people, places, and things start coming back around, and they were doing meth, like I said, and I didn't think it didn't bother me because I'm not a meth head, and it didn't bother me until I started finding needles and fentanyl bags laying around. And I relapsed, OD'd. My son was there, brought me back. I bought 4 pain pills that I thought were 30s. They were pure fentanyl. and I had been clean that 6 years. I went in my dad's bathroom and did 2 of them and died. They had to Narcan me 4 times. They said when I woke up, I couldn't speak. I couldn't speak for 8 hours later. And when the doctor come in, he's like, "Where did you get the fentanyl?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, I didn't do fentanyl." He's like, "Well, that's what was in your system." Then I told him, I said, "I did 2 pain pills." And that's when he had told me that they were pressing pain pills. And so I had 2 more, and my dad watched me flush them down the toilet. But then at that point, I thought, well, fuck it, I went right back to the needle. And so when I went back to the needle, then this is where it got real bad. So I went back to the needle. I started seeing a guy. We were in Chillicothe living together, and lost that house, lost my car, lost everything. Was staying with my mom and dad for a little bit, but my mom and dad just got tired of the drugs.
Yeah.
They're just totally against it. You know what I mean? Then this is where they put their tough love on me, as they did Corey and them. They told me I had to leave, and I did leave. And I was living homeless in a hunting cabin in Meigs County, in a place smaller than this, with no electric, no water, shooting dope by candlelight. And did that for about 18 months and wasn't talking to my family. Corey would send me some really nasty texts every now and then telling me about myself. But, when you're on dope, you just don't care. Sold a car, shot it in my arm. Was taking everything I could get from any place. So at that point, it was my birthday, and not one time ever. Like, me and my mom had kind of had a rocky relationship over the years, but me and my dad have always been like best friends.
Yeah, close. Yeah.
And it was my birthday, and they didn't call and tell me happy birthday. And that really bothered me, And so I thought about it, and it was about 3 more weeks later. My son Cody had already came down and went to treatment, and he kept calling me and telling me, "When you're ready to come to treatment, Mom, I'll come get you. When you're ready to come to treatment, I'll come get you." And I tried to call, but I'd let my insurance lapse. But I set up and I prayed about it, and I thought, well, I'll message him. It was like 3:00 in the morning. I'm setting up, just shooting dope. And I thought, if he messages me back, but I knew he was working like 7 days a week. So I thought, well, at least I tried. And, but I was just so done. I mean, I was just so tired at that point. Like, it just wasn't even fun anymore. Like I couldn't get high. I was just shooting dope to survive. I wasn't even living. I was just literally surviving. And he messaged me back at 7:00 that morning, and he said, "I'll pay $50 to my friend when he gets off work, and I'll come and get you." So I told my boyfriend, I said, "I'm going to treatment. Are you coming?" And he said, "No, you need to leave." And I said, okay. Well, at that point, I had to call my dad. And because this was like 10:00 in the morning, and my son couldn't come and get me until 5, and it was about a 2-hour drive. So I called my dad, and I said, "Listen, I'm going to treatment. Can you come and get me?" And he did. He came and got me. And he came in, and at 4:00 on June the 17th of 24 was the last shot of dope I did. I broke my needle, and my son walked me to the front door of Foundations, and I quit doing dope. But it's it's, there's days it's trying. People think like when you get clean, it's just going to be all rainbows and this and that. They don't realize that life still gets really lifey,
Yes,
and so, but,
it definitely does.
like I have like, I don't know, like me and my daughter, like, she's, we used to like, I don't know, do so much dope that like, it's the one I've probably literally died 30 times.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm still sitting in this chair. I don't. So I've been Narcan
There's a
so many
reason.
times that, in the middle of the night in my dad's house shooting dope when they were in bed, and my boyfriend have to Narcan me or Corey have to Narcan me because I was dead.
Yeah.
Insanity.
Yeah. It's definitely the insanity. So why do you think that phone call from your son asking you to get help was different? What made it so different that last time?
It just, I seen like he, was doing good, and I knew like I missed my family so bad, and I was scared of the sickness. Every time if you're an addict, like you think you go to treatment, like you think, shit, I'm gonna at least lay there 7 days before I can even, because I laid in jail one time 17 days so sick off heroin I couldn't even get off of my bed for 17 days. And I was so scared of, that's main part is what I was scared of. And he told me, he's like, Mom, they have comfort meds now, like they'll get you through it. If I can get through it, like you can get through it. And I went down there and I did. They gave me, comfort meds. I mean, I'm not saying it was easy because I was still felt pretty shitty, but it made it tolerable.
Yeah.
I was just so scared of that sickness because, like, if anyone's ever been dope sick, then they know what I'm talking about. It's the absolute worst feeling. And
it is.
After I had that 6 years clean, I also had that that attitude of, oh, I got this. I can be back around my old friends. It's not going to bother me. It's not going to bother me. I got this. I've been clean 6 years. And I didn't realize that it was going to affect me like it did. So like when I have clients and, they'll ask me like, how do you do it? Like, and I always just tell them like, I don't look toward tomorrow. I know that I'm not going to use drugs today because I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. None of us know what tomorrow's going to bring. I had 6 years and but I get up every day and I know that I'm not going to use today, and that's what I tell them. I don't look toward the future anymore because used to, I thought, oh, I'll have 20 years. Like I've got 6, I'll have 20.
Yeah.
And, so I just tell them like, I know I'm not going to touch dope today. I know that I don't even think about getting high now. Something just, when I knew that I was done, it was just something in me that I knew. I can't explain it. I just knew. Yeah. I just knew that I was done. I knew it's not what I wanted anymore. Like I just was so sick of the chase, so sick of worrying about after I did this shot, how the next shot was going to come. And it just got I was just so exhausted. I was down to almost probably 90 pounds. When I went to treatment, I was a size 00. I literally my bones stuck out. Like I almost looked like a walking zombie.
Yeah, for sure.
Freaking Skeletors.
Hey, I thought I looked good though. You know what I mean? I was like, nobody even notices, man.
Yeah, I thought I was like the shit, you know, down to 90 pounds and looking like a 12-year-old boy, but you know, and that's, but you know, it just, I don't know, but like I just knew, at that point that what he was telling me, if he, because I knew how bad off he was, and I knew if he could come down there and do it, so could I. And I just really, I didn't want something to happen to my mom and dad and me not be on speaking terms with them, because I knew, for one, that would take me over the edge. And I wanted to do something with my life for them to actually say that they could be proud of me,
Yes.
So I just, me and my mom have a better relationship now than we've ever had. And it's amazing. So like, I wasn't even allowed on their porch. When I was at the point when I went to get my stuff, like I wasn't even allowed on the porch. That's how bad it had gone.
Yeah.
So,
but how has recovery changed your life since July of 2024?
Wow. I have my own place. I was able to start out in a little studio apartment. I went to transitional, and then I got a job. And I was able to save up enough money to get me a little apartment. And then I got me a job. And then I worked on my CDCA and got it. Now I'm working on my peer support. And I have 2 associate's degree. And when I can afford it, I want to get my bachelor's. But it's restored my relationship with my family. I have trust with them now. Like, they trust me again. Like, they don't walk out of the room and my mom carry her purse with her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, she don't go to bed.
Things mean a lot to.
She literally used to go to the bathroom and tape her money to her bra. Like, I'm able to be around my grandkids again. Like the one thing that changed me, that I swore I'd never go back to dope, is because my grandson, my grandson has lived with my parents since he's been born. He, like I said, my parents are angels. They're amazing. And someone had called and said a heroin addict was living at my dad's house, and that's why I left. But they took my grandson out of that house anyway. And it about killed my dad, and it about killed my grandson, because my grandson thinks that my dad walks on water. And I went and took him to the Apple Festival, and he was living in a house with family, not our side, but his dad that passed away, that weren't very nice to him. Like, every time you had mentioned I was going to take him to the store and he had a meltdown, that I had to call the lady he was staying with to buy him cereal. And I told him, I said, if you don't talk to me, Grandma can't help you. And he had tears rolling down his eyes about that big. And he said, you're not on dope anymore. Why can't I come home? And he'll never have to ask me that question again, because he'll always have a place to come if something happens to my parents. So he'll never have to ask me why he can't come home again, because he'll always have a home. So yeah. So.
Yeah. Oof. That was deep. That was deep. Yeah. Woo. So. That's awesome. You know what I mean? Keep using that as your strength, right? To keep moving forward.
Yeah. So he got to come back home in December of, I think, last year, and I guess he just laid down on the floor and screamed, "I'm home." So, but
how old is he?
He'll be 13. but you know, my mom and dad have raised him, you know,
Yeah.
so but
Yeah.
he thinks like he's like me, and same with me, you know. To me, my dad hung the stars and the moon, you know. He's my hero. There's no one like him. He's the most kindest, gentlest,
Yeah.
most biggest, hardest person that you could ever meet. And like, I asked him one time, like, I don't know how they keep forgiving me, you know, like for all the
Mm.
things that I've done. Like, I don't deserve it, but they do, you know. So.
Yeah. Mm. So what did it mean to you to earn your CDCA after everything that you've survived?
God, it meant everything to me because I had it. I had it once. I got it when I was in prison, but they wouldn't let me off probation in time to file it. So I always said I wanted to get it again, and I did. And when I got it, it meant everything to me because, like, I just want people out there to see, like, look, I have two prison numbers. You know, I'm an F1 felon.
Yeah.
On an aggravated charge. I've robbed my family. I've said horrible things. I've done horrible things. And most people from my town that know me probably thought I would never be anything but a junkie. But,
Same.
you know, when I have people sit down in front of me and they tell me, like, it's just, it feels so good to have someone that can relate to me, that it gives them hope.
Yeah.
You know, and that's all I want. I just want
Yep.
someone to see, like, it's possible to have a life beyond dope. You know, there's a whole other life out there beyond shooting dope. You know, that's not a life. That's just surviving. You know,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's not even surviving because anymore, like, I've lost so many friends or things, like, you just don't know, you know, like,
No.
so you might not even
No.
survive. So
Yeah, and it may not even be the drug that takes your life. It could be a person,
that's it.
because that's a thing anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
That's it.
because people come up missing every day, guys. You know, so
Yeah, I had
literally take that.
clients that would come in that were only meth users. And when I would come in and see their drug screen or whatever, and tell them, like, well, we got to work on this and this, and they would say, I've never even done fentanyl. And I would tell them, I would stress so much to everybody, they're putting that stuff in everything anymore.
Everything.
Everything.
Yes.
You know, because that's what's going to get you addicted. That's what's going to keep you coming back, or it's going to kill you. And
Yep.
I mean, so, and I stress that to my grandson. I try to tell him all the time, like, I don't care if they offer you a cigarette, don't take it, you know?
Yeah. For sure. Don't do it. It's a trap.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
And that's not a cliche saying. It's the truth. Do not do it. It's a trap.
That's the truth. It's a trap.
Yeah.
So,
All right, Cheryl, what would you say to someone who believes they're too far gone to recover?
I don't believe anyone's ever too far gone to recover. As long as you still have breath in you, you have a chance. Because I thought I was too far gone. You know, I didn't think I would. I thought I would be an addict for the rest of my life. I didn't think I would ever be able to live without. What my problem was, getting up and reaching for something in the morning. You know, and so I got the Sublocade shot for that because it broke that habit of getting up and reaching for something in the morning. But I feel like as long as you're still breathing, you always have a chance. You know, if they don't have me buried 6 feet under, you have a chance. You know, I advise anyone, get help. If you're scared to ask for help, reach out to me. I can get you help. You know, I'll get you a bed. If I can't find you one, I'll find somebody who can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I just would tell anybody, if you still got breath in your body, you got hope. So,
Yep. If you can mutter those words from your lips, guys,
Yep.
you can still have hope.
Yep.
All right. What do you hope people take away from your story tonight?
I just hope that they see that you don't have to be what people think you are, that you write your own story. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what people think about you. It doesn't matter what you've done in your past. We all have past. You know what I mean? And some of them are pretty, some of them aren't, but that doesn't have to be your ending. You know, your past is not your ending. And I just want people to see, like, you write your own ending. People that judge you don't write your ending. You write your ending. So
true.
Yeah.
So true. Look at me now.
That's right. That's right. And that's
I'm no longer 60 pounds. I'm 152 people.
You know, I just want people to see, like, it doesn't matter what people think about you. You know what I mean? I was so ashamed but you know why? It's a disease. It's a disease. And I would tell, and I would tell someone just the same. And I tell them all the time, would you tell someone that has cancer not to go get help? You know what I mean? Like, it's a disease. People can't help it. Like, yeah, the first time it's a choice, but it's, you know, just ask for help. If you're scared, just reach out for help. It's there. That's the only thing I did. I made one phone call and it turned my entire life around. And
one healthy decision.
Turn that pain into
decision. Yep. And it changed my whole life. My son, like I said, he got out of the car and walked me to the front door of Foundations and rang the doorbell and said, "Here's my mom."
Yeah.
I've been here ever since. So.
And turn that pain into change.
That's right. That's right. So.
I have that shirt slogan for shirt. Yeah.
Pain into change.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Turn pain into change.
Yeah.
Well, Cheryl, thank you. Your story was amazing. You did good.
Amazing. You was nervous for nothing.
But yeah, you did amazing. And I know that you've helped somebody on there. You've got so many awesome people on here commenting, thanking you for sharing. Like, this is why we do this, right? Your story is going to inspire so many, because once we get it done here, like, we're going to upload it to YouTube so people can go back and rewatch it if they missed it.
Yes.
You know, 6 years is a long time to spend, you know, incarcerated. I've never been to prison, but I've been in and out of jail so many times, like, I can't count. We won't say Travis Holden's name, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, and I've been there, like, but I was on my way, you know. It was a reminder where I definitely don't want to go back to, and I definitely never want to go. So, yeah. And I want to thank you for that. So,
no,
6 years, definitely do not.
No, me either. It's not a place I ever want to go back to. So,
yeah. But look at you now. Keep shining, keep doing what you're doing, you know, keep helping other people. And you ever need anything, reach out. We're here. You and Cody both. He knows that. You know that now. You know, and thank you for trusting me and Matt here, you know, at Pages from Rock Bottom to share your story with.
Yes,
like, we really appreciate that. And it was an honor to hear it. Thank you.
Hell yeah, I was having a shit day. I needed this.
He said he was having a shit day. He needed this. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, guys.
Night.
You too. You heard it here. Cheryl's story. If you guys missed it, go over and watch it on YouTube, and it'll be on Facebook for 30 days because they do delete them after 30 days. Who do we have Monday? But yeah, guys, go give her a good shout out. Send her a message. You know, congratulate her. She's doing absolutely amazing. And thank you once again, Cheryl, for sharing your story with Pages from Rock Bottom. As we should have been more prepared for this, but
get it together.
But Monday we have Miss Jessica Weekly. She's But hey, listen, she has been so excited, Jessica. If you're watching this, listen, she has been said she's been me. She done went out and bought her some stuff so that way she can have a mic and all the things. Let's do it, guys. If you guys know anybody wants to share their story, get a hold of us. If anybody is watching who wants to share their story and come on and tell us all about their journey, please reach out to me so I can get you scheduled and on the schedule and get everything I need to get you guys on here on a date.
Just a reminder, starting in May, we will be going down to 1 day a week.
1 day a week.
What day?
What?
What day?
What do you mean?
It'll be on Wednesdays.
Yes, it'll be on Wednesdays. I'm like, what is he talking about? Get it together, husband.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's starting May. We're only going to be doing it on Wednesdays, and we have a special guest in May. Special guest, special. It's a special segment.
Oh shit!
Oh, who could it be? Who could it be? Oh, Stephanie. Who could it be?
Mysterious May.
He's a mysterious May. All right, guys, listen. Great things coming in May. Don't forget, we're gonna upload the shirt for Cheryl's episode and their $15 shirt, white or black. Let us know. We'll deliver or we'll figure out, pick up, whatever. Am I missing anything? I don't think I'm missing anything.
Nope. I don't think so.
But don't forget, guys.
Yep.
Special guest in May. If I'm not mistaken, it's going to be May 6th. May 6th. 6th.
May shit.
6th.
Yeah.
May 6th, guys. So be on the lookout for that. I hinted Stephanie's name for a reason. Miss Stephanie, if you can guess, who's it going to be? Who is it going to be, Miss Stephanie? What? All right, guys. Shirt, YouTube. Don't forget, go like and follow our podcast on YouTube. And if you don't already follow us on Pages from Rock Bottom, please go follow us.
Share it out. Spread the hope.
Yeah, share it out with your family, your friends, all the people of all the lands.
Yeah.
All the people of all the lands.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. And if you guys want to come join us, come join us. Tell us your story because we want to hear it. All right, guys. Everybody have a good night, and we will see you guys this Monday with Miss Jessica Weekly.
Okay, bye.
He did it without me. Okay, bye.